Board of Directors will hold its regular monthly meeting on Wednesday, December 19th at 7 p.m. here at the WORT Studios, 118 South Bedford Street. The public is welcome to attend.
You are listening to WORT 89.9 FM in Madison. The time is 7 o'clock.
All around the world, 'cause here it comes again. You see, no matter where you are, it could be near or far, but it still feels like Christmas time to me. I tell you what you already know. We're getting ready to let it go. The countdown has begun. Whether you're in the north, south, it's all the same. Let your troubles fade away. Get ready to love everyone. Whether the sun beats down or there's a storm around, whether the snow falls or it's 100 degrees, it's still Christmas.
It's Dina Nina Martinez, and welcome to Queery on WORT 89.9. I'm really excited to be in the studio, and it's almost the holidays, and that was a little bit of Kylie Minogue. I hate holiday music, but that's like one of my favorite songs because it sounds like a dance song, you know? It's just really, okay, that's all. So I'm really excited to be here, especially coming in to the new year and a new political cycle. And today I have Justin Williams, who is running for City Council in District 15. And remind me what neighborhoods are covered in District 15.
Yeah, so District 15, the southern border starts at Flom Road. So it'll include part of, I think it's Glendale, and then you head north to Lake Edge, and then Eastmoreland, and kind of goes up towards East Wash, Hawthorne neighborhood, and then includes a little bit of a sliver on the other side of East Wash, as you've probably seen in the news, the Visions area as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I have stories about that, but probably not for the air. So I'm really excited. So you are queer identified.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And you're running for office. And this has been such an exciting year, like past couple of years for queer people and women and people of color to run for office. Let's talk about, first of all, what your history is. So you work for Community Shares.
Yes.
And you've been in the Madison community for a very long time, and you've been involved in the community. Tell us a little bit about your history when it comes to that.
So, well, I'll start with my history of where my sort of social activism and
your social justice center.
Right. So, so it actually dates back to when I was in high school. So a funny story is we had a number of snow days my junior year of high school, and I was questioning the school board on whether they were going to make us come back on a Monday to make up our snow day. And I, kept saying to them, this doesn't really make sense because we were in a small community. I mean, literally everyone rides a bus to school. Our school was in the middle of a cornfield. And so it costs money to bus kids out there. You have to pay teachers. You have to turn the lights on. And so all of these things were coming up. So they were going to vote at the school board meeting on whether to make up the snow day. So I had done a petition with students. I had done a petition with parents. And then I brought that to the school board, but I didn't know that you had to register beforehand in order to speak. So they wouldn't let me speak.
Oh.
So I was at a public forum. Students never come to the school board meeting. And I came to speak, and they were like, no, you didn't register beforehand.
Oh.
So, of course, me being me, I grabbed the 2 local newspapers and take them out into the hallway and, give them my spiel about, how they've disrespected the student body. And then ended up actually getting a public apology through the newspaper from my school board. And, I noted that they really needed to start listening to students and created a position of a student liaison onto the school board, and of course was appointed to that and voiced my opinion many times.
Look at you. I love that.
Yeah.
You're loud and vocal.
Oh, I was, yes.
So continuing on from high school,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
let's talk about what have you been doing in the community to better the community? Like as somebody who wants to run for office, I think that we as community expect that you've been doing the work.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, I moved to Madison my first time in 2002, became, fairly involved in political campaigns, was, trying to was working with Fair Wisconsin. I think it was in the 2006 election when they passed the terrible marriage amendment at that time. But doing a lot of volunteering at that time, going to MATC here in town, or Madison College now, just doing my gen eds, volunteering on campaigns. From there, I moved to Milwaukee for 2 years to go to school there for political science. While I was there, I ended up interning for the first Obama campaign in 2008. I ended up interning for Governor Doyle's Southeast Regional Office, working there on part of the advance team. And I also worked with the UW-Milwaukee Center for Urban Initiatives and Research. There I worked on a couple of different studies. One of them was the Violence Prevention Network was working on a program with a local theater company on how to reduce violence in public schools. So they went in, their theater people came in and taught kids, fun ways on how to, deal with your anger in other ways. And our job was to figure out whether that program was working or not, and it was. It actually had beneficial outcomes. And the other study that I worked on while I was there was for the Cream City Foundation. We knew that there was a high homeless population of youth in Milwaukee at that time, but there was no real study identifying how many LGBTQ youth or how many youth were identified as LGBTQ. So we conducted a study and found out it was a really high percentage of the homeless youth identified that way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, it was a lot of important work, and I was really happy to, help not just the community, but the LGBT community as well.
That's really cool, especially since knowing that marginalized groups, especially queer and trans communities, tend to have higher homelessness rates and economic disparities, and so that's really cool that you did that. Mm-hmm. Do you foresee having possibility to work on the homeless initiatives here in Madison and protecting especially trans and queer identified kids in the homeless? Like, there's not really a lot of places for those of us who are homeless. Well, I'm not homeless, but thank the Lord, Shiva. I don't know. But yeah, what is your vision for that? I know that wasn't, that's a surprise question. So let's talk about it.
I'm ready for surprise questions tonight. So, I think I bring a unique perspective in that, I work for a nonprofit that works with we do fundraising for about 70 social justice nonprofits that do work in Dane County, but throughout the state as well. Mm-hmm. So I have a unique perspective in that I've worked in government. I work for a nonprofit with connections to other nonprofits, and part of my job is to work with corporations to try and connect them to initiatives that they might be interested in. So, I bring in 3 different entities that can help solve real problems that are facing our city. I have a great example that I worked with. I'll not name the companies or the agencies, but there was a company in town that was really struggling to find people to hire because the job market's so tight right now for hiring people, and they pay $20 to $24 an hour. Mm-hmm. So their vice president of human resources reached out to me because he knew I knew a lot of different nonprofits in the community, and he said, we really want to find an organization that's working with people who were recently incarcerated and released and try to find them good paying jobs. And $22 to $24 an hour is a good paying job. Yeah. because the issue is what people reoffend, it's because they don't have the resources there to support them. And, a lot of that is trying to find a good paying job so that you can sustain yourself, so that you can provide transportation to and from your job. So I was able to connect him with a local nonprofit that does that sort of work. So
a place to shower.
Right.
A place to store your clothing. Yeah. Like that's.
So I think, there, getting back to your question of the homeless LGBTQ community, there are organizations out there. Wilma's Fund is one of them that does a lot of great work in town. That, trying to connect those to other governmental agencies that are doing work and try and find some quasi-governmental nonprofit way to solve some of these issues. And then also, find some corporate funding for that as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Once again, you are listening to Queery on WORT. I am Dina Nina Martinez, and in studio we have Justin Williams, candidate for City Council, tackling the real issues. I think one of the things that Madison lets fall through the cracks is the homeless, and all around, not just queer homeless,
right.
and I know that there have been strides to try to figure out a solution. Can you come to the table with like realistic and functional solutions for something like that?
Right. Well, I think not criminalizing our homeless population over and over again, and finding them for sitting on planters in the State Street area. I mean, those are things that it's not helping the problem, and you're only perpetuating a stereotype of an individual by criminalizing them for just existing in public. So I think there's a lot of understanding that needs to go into some of the government issues dealing with homelessness. But yeah, I think, I have a history of, working with different people who I might not agree with, but coming to the table and, coming up with some common sense resolutions. And I think, given my history of working in politics, previous to working at Community Shares, I worked on a lot of political campaigns ranging from Court of Appeals. I worked with the Joanne Kloppenberg campaign, the first campaign for Supreme Court. I dropped a little tear there.
So many tears.
I'm sure.
So many tears.
Just working with a lot of progressive people and meeting a lot of the other council members already, that I think I can really bring some change.
Awesome. So, you've been here for a while. You've been plugged into the community. Why now? Why are you running for city council now?
Well, when I previously worked in politics, I knew that there may be some point in my career where I would want to run, and I'll be honest about that. But I always wanted to gain some leadership experience, and I think I've really gained that through my work at a nonprofit. Working with the corporate community, gaining their trust. In my time at the nonprofit I work at, we have raised over $8 million for social justice causes in our area, which is, some of the most underfunded nonprofits, and some of them, like WRT, are awesome. So, yes.
Perfect.
Yes. So WRT is one of the nonprofits we fundraise
you've
for.
helped us.
Yes.
I love
Here
that.
and there. So, so I've done that. I am also on the board of Open, the Out Professional Engagement Network. I guess we can do some breaking news that I will be the incoming president in March of the organization.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I think, Open has seen some evolution in its time. It started off as just a networking organization. It's, sort of morphed into professional development, and now we're moving into an advocacy role as well. And I think the board recognizes, my leadership in that area, and, or have trusted me to sort of steer the direction of where Open's heading as well. So
right on.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So we are talking from a very queer standpoint because this is Queery, and we're both queer here. Surprise, I'm queer. But let's talk about why should cisgender heteronormative people in this district, why should they vote for you? What can you do?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've been, so our current alder, David Aarons, is not seeking re-election, and he had mentioned this towards the end of November. So I had several community members in our neighborhood. I serve on the Lake Edge Neighborhood Association, so several people knew me through that and had asked me to consider running. So I met with a lot of different people and heard a lot of different issues in the area, and a lot that resound with me. I understand where they're coming from, and I get it. Some of those issues revolve around public safety. We know we've had a lot of issues near La Follette High School, and while that is a school board issue, it's larger than that. I met with the county representative who covers that area, county board representative, and it's not just a school board issue; it's a community issue. So, and it's not just a bunch of bureaucrats sitting in a room trying to come up with new programs. We realize that it needs to involve students, it needs to involve parents, it needs to involve teachers, and we need to sit down and come up with some solutions and some real action programs that people will participate and use. So, public safety has been a number one issue. Transportation. We have some low income housing that's going in. Excuse me, in our district, but also in the next door district on Cottage Grove Road. And, when you put in public housing or low income housing, you need to provide things like transportation. They need to be close to grocery stores. So transportation is a huge issue that I'm really focusing on as well, because if you're a single mother and you have a hour ride on the bus, and your kids are getting off at 3 and you can't get home until 5, it's like, and then people are trying to complain about, issues in the community. It's like, if we have a better transportation system, that can solve some of these issues as well. The other piece is economic development. In our neighborhood, there's the opportunity with Roysters Clark, which is pretty much planned out and growing, but the Voigt Farm as well. They're going to be developing that hopefully sometime in the future. I know we've been talking about this for probably 15 years or more, but there's a real opportunity there. The Voigt Farm, it's next to a grocery store, it's next to a transfer point, so there's a lot of opportunity for social growth there as well.
Yeah, that's good. I like that you come from a kind of holistic, and I shudder to say this, but top to bottom kind of outlook, and that's really cool to me.
Right? Yeah, because people, when they think about homelessness, they're like, oh, well, what do they need? They need a home. Well, yes, clearly they need a home, but you can't just stick somebody out, on the edge of town in a house and think that they're going to be able to survive there, because if they don't have transportation, they don't have a good paying job, there's a lot of things that are connected. And I think that's what people need to focus on, is the interconnectedness of all these issues.
Completely. I love that. Awesome. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is, I lost my train of thought right now. I just like looking at your eyes. You have beautiful eyes. Let's just I go towards flirting, so sorry, inappropriate.
So when I'm knocking on people's doors, I'll just batt my eyes.
That's perfect. I think you can do that. I really like the way, like I said, the way that you do it from that perspective, and I find it interesting because a lot of candidates want to make it a single issue. They want to run on a single issue, right. And it seems like you have this very wide platform that is really are things that are important to the people in the community,
right? And I think that's exactly it. I understand the issues in my community. I'm not running for this position for self-interest. I don't have, it's not skin in the game that I'm running for. I'm running to serve my community, to better my community. And that's
so you're running for governor next time? I'm just kidding.
No.
No. Right on.
So yeah, some of the other things.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
So pretty right now.
So yeah, we some of the other stuff that we wanted to talk about. So just like people that I credit, sort of, with being the person I am and being involved in government, it's partially my dad. So my dad was involved in local town government where I'm from, and has always had a really strong work ethic. I mean, My dad would work all day. He would come home. He mowed 16 lawns in the summer. Basically, he always credits that's how he paid for my college. It was by mowing lawns my entire life in the summer. But Yeah, so there was one moment with my dad I specifically remember. So I was, of course, a queer kid trying to play football and playing the straight game my freshman year in high school. And halfway through, I wanted to quit because I wanted to focus on choir.
Yeah.
And my dad made a good point, and he said, you know what, because I was really, really wanting to quit. And he said, you know what, you always finish what you start. And I just remember the way he said it, and it really stuck with me. And so, you know, I've been working in my career for social justice and, you know, trying to improve my community and make better lives for everyone. And, you know, I've started that work and I'm not finished yet. So I think that's part of why I'm running for this seat. Yeah.
You're running against 3 other people, is that correct?
There's 2 other people who have filed their paperwork, but no one has turned in their signatures. So you have to turn in your signatures to get on the ballot, but it's 20 signatures, so I'm sure none of us will have any problem.
Right. Family members. So what sets you apart from the other 2?
So,
especially an incumbent.
Well, the incumbent's not seeking re-election.
Oh, I thought you said he was. Never mind.
He's not. He is out.
Then I continue.
Yes. So I think, you know, what I've seen from them is, you know, number one, I understand the issues in the community. I think some of what I've seen from some of my opponents is they're focused on certain things, but I think those things that they're focused on are self-serving. And I'm not that candidate. The other thing I see is that the time commitment that this takes. I know there are late night meetings and it requires a lot of time. And you know, in my volunteering for Open, in my volunteering for my neighborhood association, whenever I've been asked to step up and do something, I do it. I stick, you know, I take the time and I make sure that everything I do is quality work. So I think those are the things that kind of set me apart from the other 2. And I'm happy to hopefully bring that to the city council as well.
That's awesome. Because that's apparently all I can say is that's awesome. So tell me, what do you like to do on a first date?
Well, on a first date?
I just thought I'd throw that in because it was fun. Is that okay?
I'm a little on the spot, but I'll roll with it. I'm blushing now. You can't see it. So I like
to mix it up.
I am a big foodie. So
yes?
I enjoy some good sushi. I always enjoy going to a new restaurant, although I have not had any time lately, let me tell you. So preparing for, you know, to run for office is a big deal. I've worked on many campaigns in the past, but when you do it, when you're the candidate yourself, it's a different beast, let me tell you. So
so what priority does economic development in your district hold?
So yeah, it's as we look at bringing in more housing in our district, I think it's very important. You know, I think what we'll end up seeing is some of the busier corridors. We're going to see some you know, building growth. I mean, by that I mean taller buildings. We're already seeing that at the Royster Clark area. You know, there are some businesses, the Ace Hardware, which closed down, and the Peony Library has moved into. Eventually, they'll move into their new library location. You know, who knows what will happen with that space? I mean, there's some prime real estate for that could be, you know, not just retail, but also, you know, residential as well above it. So I think there's a lot of room for growth there. You know, my interest is in trying to keep as much of the local business in there as we can. I don't know exactly how city government would I don't think we can interfere with that.
Right.
But I think, you know, that is an interest that I have. You know, I don't want to see a Starbucks on, you know, Milwaukee Street and, you know, over on Cottage Grove Road as well. You know, I do love my Java cat. So
I love Java cat too.
It is one of my
so
favorite.
Cute.
Yes.
And a portrait of me hung there for a very long time. I don't know why you need to know that.
Oh, interesting.
So you are now in the public eye.
A little bit, yeah.
Like people are, I mean, I feel like since I moved here, you've kind of been in the public eye, but now it's a different level for you.
Oh, it is.
And so everybody in that community is going to want to know about you, and they're going to have their opinions about you.
Oh, I've already received some hate mail.
Have you?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Rockin'. How do you respond to that?
Well,
that's harsh, you know.
Yeah,
it's very...
you know, and my line that I've come up with this for is, you know, a queer kid that grew up in a town of 600 people, so I've got pretty thick skin.
Right.
So, I think I can handle that. People come from different backgrounds and have different ways of expressing themselves and talking, and I understand that. And,
Awesome.
just kind of roll with the punches and, listen to people. I think that's mostly what people want.
Yeah.
They just want to be heard. They want to understand that you understand their issues and where they stand on those issues. And, at the end of the day, I'll probably have to make some decisions that not everyone in my district is going to agree with. But, that's what I'm there to do, is to listen, and make a decision based on what's best for my community.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many times can it should be a drinking game. How many times Dina says, that's awesome on the show. I think I'm sitting here and I remember meeting you and I remember how warm you were to me, which I was nobody. Well, I was somebody, but nobody knew that here, and,
Right.
And you were just so warm and loving to me. And so we have that relationship. Where did that come from? Like, did it come from the town of 600 people? Or it takes a very special person. I've met a lot of politicians that I don't ever want to talk to again. You know?
Well,
And I'm
Ted
not going to
Cruz,
name
no.
names right now, but I have a lot of them.
Yeah, it might be part of that small town mentality, is just, treating people with the respect they deserve. The person that you meet today, like for 5 minutes, might be one of the most important people you meet in your life. And I think that's the way that people need to live, is understanding you want to treat everyone great and treat everyone with respect. And I hope that, that's what I saw in my small town. That's what I see in Madison a lot of the time too. Not all the time, but
Right.
but just bring that mentality every day. I think is really important, and respecting people.
So what's coming up for you right now? What do people need to be on the lookout for you?
So the first thing people can be on the lookout for is my website, which is up. So it is www.justinwilliamsformadison.com. Currently up there, we have a quote from a good friend of mine. You can check out my campaign launch video, which is actually the first video I've ever made, and I'm quite happy about it.
Awesome.
And then also my biography information is up there. We're working on getting our issue areas up there very soon, but you can find that information there. If you are so inclined, there is a donate button on the page as well. I'm happy to say that we have set a goal, and we're about 20% to that goal already. And I officially announced, I think a week ago today.
Holy cow.
Officially. So yeah, I'm really pumped. I've created a lot of relationships in my time in my career, and when I reached out to people and said, I'm in, they said, I'm in with you. So I'm really excited to have their support.
Good.
So yeah.
Also, you're on the socials, right?
Oh yeah. So on Facebook, it's Justin for District 15. So follow me on there. I'm going to be doing lots of live videos coming up. If you're interested in volunteering, there's a sign-up sheet on our website, or you can shoot us a message on Facebook as well. And we're going to be knocking a lot of doors coming up. So it's a very long and narrow district, so I'm going to need as much help as I can get.
And then direct contact. Is there a way that they can contact you?
Yeah, so you can shoot an email to our Justin at justinwilliamsformadison.com, and we're happy to network you to the right person on our team, or answer any questions you might have.
Wonderful. Justin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
I appreciate you coming in. Once again, I am Dina Nina Martinez. Thank you for coming, for listening to WORT. Thanks for coming but you can go to my website, DinaNinaMartinez.com, to find out more about me and contact me. And I'm on all the socials, Dina Nina Martinez. And we're going to go out with a little more Kylie Minogue. Happy holidays, everyone. And we will talk to you soon. I'll see you next month.
All around the world, anticipation, 'cause here it comes again. You see, no matter where you are, it could be near or far, but it still feels like Christmas time to me.
WORT thanks its listener sponsors and Overture Center for the Arts, presenting the Broadway musical Finding Neverland, January 8th through 13th in Overture Hall. Finding Neverland tells the story of Peter Pan playwright J.M. Barrie, who struggles to find inspiration until he meets 4 young brothers and their beautiful widowed mother. Spellbound by the boys' make-believe adventures, he sets out to write a play that will astound London theater goers. More information is available at overture.org.
The Trump administration is trying to undo much of our progress, so it's more important than ever to elect more people who will advance the movement towards our nation's promise of equality for all.
And then you have Jim Kepner's International Gay and Lesbian Archive. And Kepner, hey, I like to call him our Moses. He was found as an infant under an oleander bush in Texas.
You're not kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
Welcome to This Way Out, the international LGBT radio magazine. I'm Lucia Chappelle. Bermuda files final appeal to protect inequality, electoral math and the future of queer rights, and preserving a one-of-a-kind archive. All that and more this week because you've discovered This Way Out.
I'm Monique Lukens.
And I'm Christopher Gall.
With News Wrap, a summary of some of the news in or affecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending December 15th, 2018. Bermuda's government has decided to go to the mat over marriage equality. It filed an appeal on December 13th with the UK Privy Council, the only remaining challenge it has left to an original Supreme Court ruling in May 2017 opening civil marriage on the island to same-gender couples. Lawmakers overturned that decision by creating separate, but what they called equal, domestic partnerships